Hello, and welcome to Talk, Therapy, Heal, a dynamic and engaging show that endeavors to shatter the many stigmas surrounding mental health and therapy. Talk, Therapy, Heal is a collective of licensed counselors, therapists, and life coaches, unique in areas of specialization, expertise, and experience. Through the art of curated, genuine, compassionate conversation, we get to the deep things. We are so excited you chose to begin your healing journey with us. Tune in to Talk, Therapy, Heal. Hello, and welcome to Talk, Therapy, Heal, a dynamic and engaging show where we get to the deep things. Hey, y'all. Join us for this episode.
Yes, we're excited to bring you all another amazing topic. Okay, we can't wait to dig into this one. What we're going to be speaking about tonight is the silence of a man.
Ooh, that's
I'm ready.
man.
Look, like a
Like that
little
little,
kid.
I know. I just picture that little girl that be on TV.
Right.
That meme.
Yes.
Yes, super excited about the silence of a man. I want to start off with saying this about silence. Silence is often a learned survival strategy, not emotional absence. And I think that's what, when men are silent, women see it as them being emotionally absent. You're not here, you don't care, you don't love me kind of thing. But it's a survival. It's a learned survival strategy.
Mm.
What
Wow.
would y'all say about that? I mean, especially for women, how we decipher silence.
I think what I hear often is like what you said, he doesn't care. I'm trying to have conversations with him, and my mind, thank God for growth. But it's like, or how can you talk to the people at your job, but you can't talk to me? How can you talk to your mom and your family, but you can't talk? What is it about me? You know, and a lot of times we make it about me instead of really
Yes.
kind of learning, because I had to learn. For me, learning how to really hear them, even if we are not verbally hearing them, or I've been married to you for so long. Why is this still da 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 da? But this is what I've seen, in all fairness. So that's seen. So then he get to talking. He may be 2 or 3 words in, you yelling, you cussing, you over talking him, you belittling him, you putting him down, you ain't about nothing. And then he go back to shutting up and just watching. Oh, so you ain't got nothing to say? But when I tried to say something. So that's some of the dynamic of what I've seen when it comes to a man trying to share his voice.
What I would say is what I've seen in the room is sometimes it's difficult to identify like what's being felt or what's being experienced, and they don't have the language, you know what I mean, to use. And so silence, again, is probably that adaptative, you know what I mean, mechanism that is used.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think for a lot of men, silence is something that they were taught at a young age as like you said, a coping mechanism. And it all based upon the situation and the circumstances that the individual is currently in. It could have been an emotional state. It may be a personal state that they're in, and that may determine why a person may be silent. I'm going to go back to the fact that as young boys, we're often taught that you don't talk about anything. You keep your problems to yourself. As a man, you work it out. You figure it out. Don't show signs of emotion. Don't cry. Deal with it. And because of that, we have a generation of men now that hold everything in, but we have to understand that all that you're holding in, eventually it's going to come out. And at what point does it come out, and how does it come out? So that could be a reason for a lot of silence in men. for the simple fact that they were just taught those things at a young age, and they carried that with them throughout their lifespan.
I'm wondering, and I don't want to just single you out, but you are the only man at the table.
I mean, you are,
Yes,
so we
yeah.
might as well use what we
Yeah.
have.
Right, right. But do you interpret silence as rejection or protection?
That all depends. Depends on the person's situation, how they grew up, what they saw. Has there been any traumatic experience around that? So from a protection standpoint, I'll stay silent because something happened to me when I was younger. When I tried to voice my opinion, I wasn't heard. So now I just hold that in. And the person doesn't say anything. Or was it one of those things where an individual, has that voice, they say things, but they're still not heard and understood. So they have to pick and choose which direction they're going in based off of the situation and circumstance.
So what I'm hearing you say, even from what you were talking about before, is that emotional intelligence has to be taught earlier on in order for you to have a voice, so that you are not silenced or silent in situations, but it has to be cultivated.
Yeah.
So you have to
Yes.
first have words, or words be put to what you're experiencing for you to learn from that, and then have the safety, the
Absolutely.
space is provided for you to express it without judgment.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, you said a key word there, cultivation, which means somebody has to teach you. They have to let you have trial and error. They have to pick you up, shake you, dust you off, and then put you back out there again, so to speak. And for a lot of men in the past, that was never done, because if you started to show any of that emotional intelligence, you were told to suppress it. Why are you crying? Boys don't cry. I mean, dude, everybody falls off the bike. Get back up and get on, hush it. They tell you to hush, be quiet. And then now you got to drive the bike knowing you're hurting, but you look back at everything and you start to do that all through your life. And then what do you do when your son comes on?
Right.
What are you crying for? Get up.
Yeah.
And then the biggest one is there. And I know this happened to a lot of people. Oh, look at him over there crying. He must be a punk. Well, what's wrong with you? Are you gay or something? And so that's a dagger that they're sticking in you every single time these occurrences come around. And eventually you get fed up until the point where you say, I'm not saying anything, or I will withdraw myself away from you so I don't have to deal with all that. So it's a lot like being in the hospital. Some of y'all probably experienced this before. You come in there, oh, we got this going on. We see all this. Well, first thing we got to do is start an IV. And they send somebody in there straight out of a phlebotomy stool that ain't that good. And they stick you 3, 4, 5 times.
Listen,
Yeah.
I had that
I
experience.
And then what do you say?
A hard stick, man.
I'm not giving you this other arm to stick something
yeah.
in. Go get somebody that can do it, or I ain't taking the IV.
Right.
And that's what happens with men a lot, and why they become silent is because they put themselves out there for someone to try to help and give them the medicine or the encouragement and things that they need, but they got something different out of that. It was a bad experience, and the more bad experiences you have, the more you back away.
You know what came to my mind, and it kind of coupled with a little bit from the last show that we had done, is what if you have a man that had, because I think it was like the overmother part of it. What if you had a man that his mama always spoke for him?
Yeah. Same
So he don't know how to speak for himself, because every time, so then, ooh, this just came out fresh off the press. So then I go from a mama who overmothered me to a wife who's overmothering me and speaking for me, or overwifing, yes. But technically, I'm seeing my mama in her. And so that's why I love you so much, because you're just like my mom, but you speak for me. So to the point of when they saying, well, sir, like you the husband, and then they looking like, and then he looking like, like, and then they looking like, well, I asked you, why are you looking at your wife? Because that's the dynamic, because maybe I don't have a voice.
Absolutely.
Or I do lack potentially that emotional intelligence, because I'm used to everyone speaking for me. And when I think about, counseling experiences, being in a counseling room and speaking to men, even if they're married or they're coming for individual, is they will, these things, Kenya was mentioning it, but then also think about some of the things that society say. Happy wife, happy life. So that basically means you don't have a voice, sir. You don't have a say so. Your only sole purpose in life is to keep your wife happy. But then some have shared that, well, the reason why I don't speak is because I'm just like my dad, because my dad didn't speak. Or they can't stand the fact that their dad didn't speak up, and then they do the total opposite. So now you're sitting up here being the one that's married to someone who, no, I know everything, and because you're fighting so hard trying not to be like your dad. Oh, that's
Have y'all ever, y'all ever seen the movie Unleashed with Jet Li? Jet Li, Asian martial artist, very good. And he is actually been somewhat, if I'm not mistaken, adopted by this guy who was like a loan shark. He's a criminal. And basically Jet Li is his muscle. But he's very timid. And he doesn't say anything. And what happens is this guy walks around with Jet Li with a collar around his neck. And when he goes to collect this money, see people he has to deal with, if they don't give him what he wants, he takes the collar off and this man goes ballistic. That is what happens with a lot of men, is that they are collared with their voice and they can't say anything because undermothered, overfathered, whatever case may be, or they're married to a woman who is so dominant to them. And basically you only get to say something when I take that collar off. And then when that collar comes off, they say any and everything, say, but that's why I don't let you talk no way, because you come out like that. And then the collar goes back on.
Wow.
And they're quiet.
Oh, I got a visual for that.
Okay.
I did too.
Okay, definitely
You speak
visual.
when I tell you to speak. So
Absolutely.
control.
It's a control factor.
Jeez.
And once again, I know we're talking about why men are silent, but then you have to ask the question, what is going on with that woman that may be happening and she's acting like that? See, all of this is intertwined. When you start taking family systems and understand families operate like a system, that's why if somebody in your family has an issue that's there, get the help that they need so it doesn't run rampant throughout the whole family.
Yes. Yes. Wow.
We so quiet.
I'm just still picturing this man with his collar
Oh,
around
you got
his
lots
neck.
of it's a very good movie.
I mean, just even for it to, I'm visualizing this woman who, and she may not have a physical collar around his neck, but the concept of it,
Right.
you can't speak. So men, and I know men, a lot of men are taught that they can't be vulnerable, that vulnerability is unsafe. I mean, for men and women, but for a lot of men, especially, they cannot be vulnerable, especially with other men. It's just not a safe place because of some of the things that you mentioned earlier. You know, you weak, you ain't no man. How you letting her do? It's just
Right.
so much that goes into that, to the point where we're creating silent men that we say we want to speak up or stand up for us. But we're creating this silence. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm processing out loud.
Real
But
time.
No, you're right. Some of the things that we say we want the most, we actually do things that are the complete opposite of that, and it keeps us from being able to get what it is we want.
yeah,
And I'm not trying to pick on ladies, but sometimes women will say, well, I want a man that leads, that stands out, that tells me what he wants. And then the minute he does it, you back him down.
Like, hold up.
who you think you
Yeah.
talking to?
And so the other thing, talking about Jet Li and that collar, name your collar. Is that collar because you're so dominant that you only want him to speak up when it's lifting you up, when it's in agreement with you? Is that collar sex? Keep running your mouth like that if you want to, see if you be sleeping on the couch tonight. So what is he going to do? We know that's a big thing for me, so that's
Shut it.
I ain't going to say nothing. Well, you know what? I asked you what your thoughts are, and you come up with the stupidest idea that is. Maybe that was the best idea he had.
Right.
And guess what? It comes down. And then what you think about is this. Don't just think about the husband and a wife aspect, thinking about the kids being around. And now he has to sit there and look at his son or his daughter, and they sitting there looking like, now, Daddy, why but he don't want to fight.
Like
He
you
don't want to
take it
argue.
as-
And so now I look less than not only to the spouse, but to my kids as well.
And they then start to do the same thing that mom is doing.
Precisely.
Yes.
They learn how to manipulate that same way. Now, let's take it back another way. Here's a caller that gets put on a lot of men, other men.
Mm-hmm.
See, a lot of times a man will become quiet because he's already told you what he thinks about other men, but you keep doing that thing over again. So he's okay. I'm just gonna let you sit around and find out. I ain't saying nothing. And he may be secretly plotting something somewhere else. Now, I'm not saying cheating or anything like that is right. I'm not condoning that. But what people have to understand, if you're not getting attention, love, desire, something like that from where you're at, you will go meet it somewhere else.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, oh my God. And one of my points was that about safety, a safe space invites sound. So if you want to hear a man speak, if you want him to not be so silent, think about the space that you're creating for that. Is it safe enough for him to have sound?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to kind of piggyback off of that
Okay.
and like vulnerability.
Yes.
Yes,
You know what I mean? That's a huge word,
it is.
but it's probably taboo.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
In the counseling room,
Mm-hmm.
I often hear men say, "I don't want to be vulnerable."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's because the space, part of the reason why is because the space hasn't been created.
Mhm.
So how do you create that space where vulnerability can present itself?
Mm.
That's a good question because I found myself in a session asking that as well. I think sometimes when people think about safe space, they think about it's the husband's responsibility to create the safe space for the home. But who's creating a safe space for the husband in the home for him to be able to be vulnerable?
Mm-hmm.
It's always seemed like it's looked at as a one track direction.
One-way street. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of multifaceted. So how can I be vulnerable with you if I don't even have a safe space in our own home as a man?
And I think it's because, once again, societal norms is we place so much heaviness on men, and men carry around a lot more than what people may think sometimes.
Yeah.
And so, you want my hand in marriage? I need you to work, provide, protect. Anything that comes up, I need you to be able to fix something, cook, grill, all this stuff. And, okay, I want to be your husband. I'll do that. But then the minute I need something, where I need that same safe space, that same protection, that same love return, it's not there. Well, you're a man, you're supposed to handle that. And it's not given the same way. And then we wonder why we've come to an era of all these shows we just talked about. We can run them together and kind of come up with this conclusion potentially. A lot of reasons why we're having so many problems within marriages is everything that we have right now. Men don't have a voice. I'm the mother over father. Not knowing that counseling is there for you to help you figure some of these things out. And if nobody is moving in these directions, nobody's getting the help that they need. And we keep kicking the can down the road. Now, I will say this. There's a lot of reasons why men can be quiet. These are some of the top ones that may come to your head. Now, I give you the reason why they get quiet. Sometimes when it comes to stress, that's a way for a man to think. They may have to go out by themselves sometime and talk to themselves, because as they hear themselves talking, they're running different options through and they're trying to come up with the best option. Sometimes silence is about recharging. Have you ever plugged your phone in and heard it recharge? There's no. Sometimes individuals have to be silent in order to let
Just
other
trouble
people,
smack 'em.
Right. Get up.
in order to let that charge come in, they need quiet, they need peace. The other thing with that is that sometimes that is about my need for my own personal space. And that personal space may not be on the couch in front of the TV listening out music. They may just need to go somewhere and it's just quiet. That for me, that's why I go fishing. It's quiet out there. You hear the water, you hear the fish jumping, you hear birds flying and all that stuff. It is peaceful to you and it clears your mind to have that clarity so that you can come up with solutions or be ready to go back into the next thing you have to go into. Now I'm going to go all the way back, and I got to go back in Larissa's area. Biblical.
Yeah,
Jesus stole away all the time.
sure did.
Like,
I got to go get with my father so I can get some instruction. I need to hear from him. I need to recharge myself, this, that, and other. And if we're saying we want men to be the head of the house and he goes to do something like Jesus did, now all of a sudden we got a problem with it. But then when we run up in the church, why can't you be like the pastor? Why can't you this? So you can't go and be comparing your man to all these other men out there. And then when he gets quiet, he's sitting up there thinking like, one, that's an unrealistic expectation for me to meet because you married me, you didn't marry that person. Two, why do I want to go to a house of worship where I'm going to be compared to? Because you're telling me I'm not meeting the standard as somebody that you're married to, but you're willing to accept the standard for somebody that you're not married to. And so when he goes to church and he goes in, well, why don't you ever say anything in church? Why should I? I'm in a place where I really don't feel safe. And should we not all feel safe in the presence of God?
So, well, okay.
And I'm looking at the church house because
It's mainly women.
Women. So part of men's silence has, man,
oh, Father.
wow. Yeah, yeah. All while you were talking, I'm thinking, well, Nikki, part of men's silence have absolutely nothing to do with them, but everything to do with who's in that circle, that
Who's in that
space,
life,
who's
yeah.
creating that space
And
for them.
yeah, and don't get me wrong, not saying that everybody else is the issue. And sometimes men carry things internally
They do.
and they have to process that for themselves. And
Yeah.
sometimes they have something, they want to do something with it, but they have nobody to pass it to
Yeah.
because of the things that we've been taught.
Yeah.
So if I was raped as a man,
Mhm.
who am I going to tell I was raped by a woman? Because most people ain't going to believe that.
That's
Right.
true. And a lot of that happens
It's
too.
true.
And you know what they will say?
Mhm.
What you crying about? I mean, dude, that ain't that bad. Come on.
Right.
And so you don't have that safe place to go to, even with the very people that are supposed to be your companions, because men were supposed to function together as a whole.
Oh, can I share something? Okay. So one of the things, as y'all very well know, but y'all don't know, that me and my husband like to do because we're such, in a sense, like, I feel like God put this on us, but we advocate hard for marriage and stuff. And we share a lot of what we went through in our marriage to help people see that it's okay. With that being said, the last trip that we took, it happened to be, I think it was four couples there, right? And I won't say their names, so I get their permission, but I'm sure they wouldn't mind, but still I need to get permission. So with that being said, I remember we was up on one of the decks. We was just kind of chilling out. Shout out to Virgin Voyage. That was cool. No children. Anyway, so we were up on deck. So one of the husbands was sitting in the chair where, people be kind of like sunbathing. He wasn't sunbathing. That was just what he was doing. I'm chilling with the wife. He over there, I think my husband had like an appointment, a spa appointment or some appointment made on the ship. So anywho, so I was like, oh, so, where's your husband at or whatever? And she's like, oh, he's over there and he's chilling. Actually, we started off with him over there kind of talking and stuff. And so one of the things that I learned, and this is what I like being around other couples, learning their dynamic of how they're doing things. And she don't realize it. She'll know it here in about 2 weeks because I had to let her notice now that I'm thinking about it. I learned a lot from them because what she said was, because I'm like, Black people, most of us don't like baking in the sun, but he was in the sun. So I'm like, is bro cool? Like we don't do that, whatever. And so she said, no, she said, what I learned about my husband is that he needs his time. That taught me a lot because a lot of times men are taught, oh, if you really want to this woman and get this woman and wife this woman, you got to study this woman. No one ever teaches us that we need to study him. We just taught get the ring, get the house, have the babies, and all this societal mess that will have you messed up if you're running after that instead of focusing inwards. And so she was like, there are times in our home that I know he needs his time. I need my time. And it was ironic because as some of our friends started coming, I was like, where's so-and-so? Oh, he's sitting over there. Was he okay? What's wrong with him? And so she then explains again, no, my husband needs his time. But a lot of it as well is this, because we have a son that's like this. He's introverted. So it's only now you may have a man in your life that's introverted, a son, a husband, whatever. His capacity can only do people in so much.
Right.
So he need to steal away. He need to shut it down. He need to recharge. Was cool. He didn't treat us different than that, but we could understand because we have a son like that. So studying your man is what I'm saying. Studying your husband is not that they needed to explain anything to us.
Yeah.
But if we're coming and we're arguing, so think about the couples that come into the room. They're arguing, they're going through because you're not like this. Okay, but ma'am, are you studying him? What does he like? What does he not like? Is he putting on, he's exhausted for playing this character that you want him to play. When you don't know when this man at met capacity. Because think about this, whether you dating husband and wife, engaged, whatever. Think about when you go into an environment and y'all, now me and Kenya, we be in our own little bubble, laughing, joking, cackling, and all the things. But you know when that environment don't feel right, what you gonna do? I'm looking at him, he looking at me, we talking. You ready to go? Let's go. All right, y'all. It's been real. So if we can do that when the environment doesn't feel good for the both of us, why are we as women, wives, fiancés, whomever, not willing to study him? So that way, vulnerability, having a voice, he's already shared, I ain't feeling this, I'm here because of you. We got a good hour and then we up out of here. So why you arguing and getting an attitude with him, sis? The man that already put a boundary up for himself to say, I'm willing to compromise. You got 1 hour, 60 minutes. I'm looking at the clock. Do what you do and we out of here. Otherwise, I don't even have to go. Study your man. Because then I feel as a wife, if I'm studying my husband, I know how my husband get down. First of all, I'm going to respect what he said. He said an hour. I'm a time person. All right, yeah, girl, we about to leave in 5 minutes. I'm counting down with him because we up out of here. I don't want to argue with him when we get in the car. That's what I used to do. But then at the same token, I can create a barrier of safety for him.
Right.
Where he don't even have to take the time and he's explaining it. No. I don't even have to put my business out here because then he become we.
Exactly.
We out.
Yeah, we sure are.
And they, a lot of people forget this part. Shan was all up in my notes.
Sorry.
No,
we won.
So I'm gonna run these together because you said them all together.
Okay.
Boundaries, disrespect, tired of talking.
That disrespect.
So the boundary spot, a lot of times men become silent because it's easy for a woman to put boundaries on him, but he can't put no boundaries on you. You know what? If you go out with your boys, go ahead, go out with your boys. Be home by 1 o'clock. But then when you go out, well, who are you, my daddy? You don't tell me when I come.
Silence as a that.
And then when it comes
I can
to
see that.
yeah, then when it also comes to the title and the disrespect, sometimes you will let other women say stuff to your spouse that they ain't got no business saying, and he's sitting there looking at you like,
You gonna say something?
you go,
Baby,
girl,
I got this.
girl, I thought this was supposed to be a girl's day. Why your husband still here? Because this my house. That's why. Little stuff like that. Other things that really get a man to a point of being quiet, and this one may shock a lot of people. He's tired of being the second option. And it usually starts with something like this. You have an argument. See, I don't even know if I married you. I should have married Kenny because he came to me before you. And he was like, okay, I'm going to remember that.
That's not my story.
That's not your story.
Oh my God.
But wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm trying to tell you. It happens. And what that man does is he takes that and he automatically starts running stuff to his brain. I know she does not say that. So all this time when I've been pouring into you, trying to date you, court you, do this, that, and other, you was up here thinking about Kenny, but because Kenny ran off with Victoria, now I'm the option that you want all of a sudden. And so he gets silent every time a argument comes up because he's realizing he's arguing with somebody that you put as the second option. Now, this one right here, that kind of ties into disrespect. Because when it comes to disrespect, it's not just about other men. It can be women. It can even be the kids. See, the kids will say something. He'll look at you thinking like, you need to correct that. And then you won't say nothing at all. Or, look, I understand what you said, but I'm telling the kids this. Wait, who's the head of the household, me or the kids?
Mm.
And so basically what you end up doing, I wrote this down. Sometimes a man becomes silenced because he is either silenced or removed from his natural position as a man in the home.
Ooh.
So,
Look, everybody over here breathing deep. Like, I'm sorry, honey,
No,
real quick. Pause, just real quick. Keep your thought. And we as women wonder why it is that a man won't talk. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so as you go forward, that a good example of that could be like, I'm a little bit different. I don't necessarily have a favorite seat in my house, so to speak, but I do have a place that I sit at all the time. Now, we have people come over all the time. Somebody may sit in that seat. It's not that big of a deal to me.
Right.
But if we doing Thanksgiving dinner, I should be at the head of the table.
Absolutely.
And if you say, oh, Roy, just sit wherever you want to sit.
I don't do that.
No. And, he's sitting there looking like,
It's not just
or,
that ain't my
you know
style.
what, Billy, can you carve the turkey? Because Tom never does it right.
That ain't my test.
And what the men, and they just, because they got people around, they don't want to act the nut. Now, some people act the nut right off the bat, but a lot of time a man will withdraw to that place because what we have to understand is this: sometimes silence.
This is open because what?
Yeah, sometimes silence is safety.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because men have this thing that when they are disrespected, they feel like they've been taken out of their place. They want to regain that because we got this thing about us called ego and pride. That is the quickest thing that will put men in the grave, and there's a lot of people there, and women don't understand that. The minute you let another man disrespect your man and you take that man's side, you're about to put your husband or somebody else in the grave because we have this thing that will make us snap because we want to earn that disrespect. And once again, all thing you got to do is watch animals. Watch wild horses. There's one stallion that is the head of that herd. If that stallion is challenged by another one, they may fight to the death. All because they believe that is my rightful place. And so we have to get that thing about disrespect under control. And the only way you're going to do that is to communicate. Which means, men, just because you become silent in all these things, it's not the time to become silent when you're trying to fix the problem. Speak up and talk about it so that both people in the relationship understand what is being said, understood, what boundaries are set. Because if you remain silent, a person go keep doing what they was doing in the first place.
I'm glad you took that turn because that's where I wanted to go with silence. Without explanation, it breeds misinterpretation, which can wreak havoc over a relationship. We can't just think, because I'm silent because all of these things that we deem other people have done to us or men, but you have to communicate. You can't, it may not be an appropriate time to say something at Thanksgiving dinner in front of somebody, but you can pull your spouse to the side. And anytime you have a man that pulls you to the side to correct the thing and he does it right, I've never seen a woman who goes against that, who doesn't step in line with what her husband is saying. Like you said, there's certain things, unspoken communication between some couples that when y'all already have the gist of what's getting ready to go down. Like you were saying, he said 60 minutes. You knew 60 minutes before y'all stepped foot in the place. So when 60 minutes come, you ain't looking crazy and he ain't got to look at you crazy. Y'all know it's time to go. We about to leave. We have become French at that time. It's a lot of those different things and you don't go against a lot of things, but it takes communication. Y'all had to communicate prior to that in order for that to be understood.
Absolutely.
And that's something too that I understand even with my husband. We always go through things like, what do you deem as disrespectful? There are some things that I just automatically know as a wife, I'm not going to put you in that compromising situation. No one will ever sit at the head of my table. Even if my husband ain't there, no one sits at the head of my table. You sit on the side. If he ain't at the head, nobody takes that position. You're not going to pray in my house. My husband is here. He can pray. He covers his house anyway. That's his job. I will never take certain things unless he specifically said, no, it's okay, man. You go ahead and pray.
Right.
I am never going to do that. There are just certain things that will not happen as for me protecting him so that he knows that his voice is heard.
And you're right. That communication piece has to be there. And as men, we can't expect women to know everything because they're learning things just like we learn.
Exactly.
So sometimes you have to let an individual know, and it doesn't always have to be harsh when things are going on. But let's say, okay, Shan's my wife. Let's say I'm married to somebody else. We're at a party at someone's house, and a guy said, "Oh, girl, that's a nice dress." "Oh, well, thank you, sir." Nothing wrong with that. But when you turn around and say, "Oh, well, thank you," and you like what you see,
You
oh,
tuned
okay,
in and
yeah,
yeah.
there goes that disrespect again.
Yeah.
And so
Mm.
if you don't pull that to the side, or when you get in the car, "Hey, baby, I need to talk to you about something. I'm not accusing you of anything, but what you just did there with Jimmy, you may have gave him the wrong idea. Ain't no ideas going on."
Yeah.
But we have to communicate that. But once again, it's like the yin and the yang thing. Some people are not going to communicate that because they're afraid that it's going to turn into an argument because of things that have been shown in the past.
Yeah.
And when I say the past, it's not just with that spouse. It could have been his mother and his father went through that same thing, and that's what he saw. "Oh, I hate to say it like this. I saw daddy get hot grits thrown on him. I'm not ending up like that. I'm keeping my mouth shut."
Yeah.
Or when we talked about sometimes you have individuals, women that are manipulative. I'm trying to correct you in a certain area that I feel I have a right to as a man. You buck up against me. And when I say, "Look, okay, I'm just going to put my foot down," you haul off and hit me. And then, "Oh, I just realized what I did." Then the cops get called on me, but the kids sitting right there watching that. So I'll never get into it with my wife because they ain't having the cops getting called on me.
Yeah. Cause
Predecessors that have happened before.
Wow. It's something that you said, and I was thinking, because of course I'm thinking about when clients come in and things like that, because you said, in taking a turn, that men do need to express themselves, to say what they're feeling and going through. And then you use the example of how you didn't, Jimmy looking at wifey in a dress and she suited and booted. But then when you got out to the car, you addressed it then. Because a lot of the conflict that I hear, whether it be just friendships or, family or even in the counseling room is this list.
Right.
Like you don't say anything. You ain't saying nothing to me. I'm asking you, baby, what I do wrong? You da. And then it's this list. And then you come out with all these things and you did this and you did this and did this and then November 1982 you did that and da 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 da, and then it's just coming out.
No.
So that then becomes what
The
did they
silence
tell
is
us in
punishment.
counseling?
Yes.
But
When the silence is punishment.
yeah,
Yes.
but that's what that is.
Well, think about this
Yeah.
from
Right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's good
It
because
is.
it was something that our professor said. But I will say it like this. Hopefully, y'all not eating dinner right now watching this. But then it becomes like verbal vomit. So I got this opportunity to talk, but instead of really saying, "This is how I feel," or "When this happened, it made me feel," it's you did this, you did this, you did this, you did that, and then it's like, what are we doing here? Because then the accusations come, the whole list, because people be talking about, well, it's like my husband and my wife keeping score. And y'all fighting over the score that's being kept instead of me as a wife learning this is how you feel.
Right.
This is what I did to make you feel. So it's not necessarily putting the silence with how I'm feeling, giving it a voice, being able to emotionally intelligently communicate it so that a way understanding is gained.
Yeah.
Right.
I know
And
that's a
I'll
lot.
say that y'all all right,
That's a good point.
but that's in a perfect world. And when you're dealing with imperfect people, they have to be taught those things
That's
in that
right.
nature.
That's right.
So what comes along with that is a lot of times the man is not saying anything and he's making that list because he's already said there's no accountability for what has occurred. Or he's going back to that thing I said up here in the front. He's still trying to figure that out, how to bring this out without getting any backlash. So he just keeps it and keeps it. And then when he feels like, you know what, I just got angry. Remember what I said? It comes out. That's when it all comes out. Not saying it's right, but that's how a lot of things happen for men because they say, well, you know what? Maybe it ain't that bad. I don't want to cause an argument. Let me just hold this to myself when they really should say something. Now, the next time you pack it down, oh, I don't want to say anything. And then when she finally says something to you, well, you know what about this? And then all of a sudden, it all comes running out. So that's a part of that emotional intelligence that we have to have that safe place. And we have to be confident enough in ourselves to say that if we say something, that we're going to be heard, we're going to be understood, we're going to be respected. But then the most part, a lot of it is that you just got to stand up and take your position as a man.
I was gonna say something. You said something about him being able to express his emotion and say what someone did to make him feel, and I was like, "Oh, hold on, I ain't want to cut you off because you can't
make nobody feel
Make it
Right,
you
right.
can't make anybody feel anything," and I know you know
Mhm,
that. But I'm just thinking about even what you just said on how the men come up and everything just comes out. To me, I'm like, well, that sounds like a him problem. He needs to heal.
mhm.
He needs to do the work to heal. If his protection or his understanding is to become silent, he needs to heal from whatever is causing or making him feel like he can't speak. Where is your voice? I understand you may have had things that happened to you as a child, but you are, or in adulthood or in previous relationships, but you need to heal from that. You have to do the work to say, I am going to cultivate and find my voice so that I can use my voice. Now, if you start communicating with somebody who can't receive your voice, then maybe you're
That's
in
a
the
different-
wrong type of relationship or
Absolutely.
with the wrong person.
Mhm.
That's where you have to come to a place of making a decision. Is this right for me? Especially when I cannot
Absolutely.
voice what I'm
Mhm.
thinking.
And that goes, it's interchangeably with women in a certain sense. Sometimes it's really easy for us to say that, but when you're in the midst of that, it's very hard. So it's just like a woman who may be going through some domestic violence. Everybody says, well, girl, you know, he put in his hand. Why don't you just leave? It's easier said than done sometimes when it comes that way. So I think overall, there needs to be a lot of education for men. We have to be snatched up from that stuff that we were told years and years ago that you don't do this, you don't do that, and say it's okay to open up and go talk. Go talk to a counselor. Go talk to a pastor if you need to. Find another man that you may be able to open up to. But ain't no good man I can. Well, you'll never know unless you start trying to do
That's
it.
true.
And sometimes it just starts by having a conversation with people about interests. And you may find out that y'all may be sharing the same thing. Now, this isn't about vomiting on each other. This is about getting a shared understanding that we have to be able to use our mouths for certain things in order to get what it is that we want. Because we ain't got no problem asking you out on a date. We ain't got no problem asking you to do the 12 o'clock wonder, you know? So you can say something about that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hear, yeah, is different for men. I get it. We can argue that even for
But
some
it shouldn't
women.
be.
Right.
We should
It-
have that voice.
You
Absolutely.
should. You definitely should. We talked previously about therapy being a safe place.
Right.
And that's where healing takes place.
Right there.
Right.
So healing takes or begins in safety. If you don't feel safe with this person that you are with, there are people that you can be establish a relationship with where you feel safe and it's not pressured. But I think again it puts the onus back on the man to do the work.
Absolutely.
You have to go and do the work. We could say, and I was so excited about The Silence of a Man because to try to get an understanding of what that's all about. I remember when my husband used to be silent. And I now looking back, I saw that his silence wasn't a threat or should have been a threat to me, but I took it as a threat. I took it as a punishment for me, but he was going within himself to do or give himself what he needed in that moment. Now I encourage his silence. Go be silent, man.
Right.
Go take some time for yourself.
Like, no, I got some words.
Like how you right now. But no, I understand it now, and I also understand it now. Silence could also mean or that withdrawal can mean a sign or be a sign of overwhelmness, being overwhelmed by a lot of different things, not indifference, not that he has a problem or issue with me or whatever. It's just a lot that's going on with him and he needs his time to go in and deal with that. But what I love about him now is that he's come to that understanding that I can go and get silent and she's okay with it, but I do need to communicate with her the silence that I need and why I'm taking, not that he has to go into detail, but communicate with me, you know, and healing had to take place. Even though I felt like I was providing a safe space before, I found within myself and doing my own work, it wasn't as safe as it needed to be. So I also had to work on my emotional stuff so that I can create an emotional safety for him to be able to feel free enough to express what it is that he was going through, or that emotional overwhelm that he was feeling, or the reason why he was silent.
Yeah.
You know, again, I welcome it.
Yeah.
Sir, go process.
And think about the first show we recorded for the second part of this season, where we had the open conversations. With everything that's going on right now, it's probably a whole bunch of men, women, and children that's being silent. So as a society as a whole, it's time to stand up and talk.
Yeah.
In a lot of different areas. But as men, to be the head of the household, you have to be that voice. I know anybody can get a prayer through. Prayer line is free. But if something happens when a man starts to do that and opens it up.
Let me tell you,
So
let me tell you.
I would just tell people this, from a biblical standpoint, if you don't have a voice with your spouse, your children, or whatever, you have a voice with God. If you start there, it rains down.
Absolutely. That's where safety actually begins.
Right there.
It's right there. That's where healing takes place. It's right there.
Right there.
With God. Establish that connection. Have that connection. But I think even if we want to even take it to a spiritual point, even with the silent piece, men will get silent with God.
Oh, yeah.
They will get silent with him because, again, we see God as... Some of us see God as this genie of a person who just, we go to when we need something, we rub him and he give us what we want. And then when he doesn't do anything, we like, oh, okay, he's silent. I'm going to be silent with him. I ain't going to talk to him. I ain't going to take anything to him. I don't really understand the dynamic with men and God, but I have seen where maybe you did pray for something and it didn't happen the way that you thought. Or it didn't turn out, you didn't get it. So now God don't listen to me either. So I place him in the same box as everybody else. So I'm
I'll help
silent.
you out with that a little bit from a man's standpoint. That could very well be it. But I think a bigger portion of it is that men recognize that they have not met the standard. And it's hard to go before the standard barrier when you haven't met the standard. So I have failed. I'm not worthy. But they have to understand that none of us are really worthy.
Yeah.
But God has given us grace. He's given us mercy. He's given us forgiveness. He welcomes us back. When the Bible talks about the prodigal son, he realized what he went out there and did was wrong, but he came back, even though it was going through the mud and the pigs and the husk and all that stuff. But when he came back, the Father opened him with open arms. That's how we have to view God, is that even though we come short of the glory of God, he is still there with us. We shut ourselves off from his mercy and his forgiveness. So education is going to be the key for men. But I'm going to say this. When it comes to men, we have to understand that our mouths are there for a reason. But there's also a reason why God gave us women, because we can't do everything. That's why he gave us a helpmeet. If your spouse is truly your helpmeet, talk to that spouse and help her help you to meet the goals and the things that you need, because that's why she's there for you, not to be in front of you or behind you, but to be right beside you so y'all can tackle these things together as the two continue to be one.
Yeah, bring up something.
So what I'm about to share, and as I'm listening to you all, it made me think about this, and you'll remember this. You will, because we were together when it happened. 21 questions is what I'm going to call this. But the reason why, because this song came up in my head when we heard this, you're going to be like, oh. So as we were amongst the crowd of, I think, 40,000 women, 44,000, somewhere like that, there was a men's panel. And I remember David Mann being on it, Bishop T.D. Jakes, I want to say his son, and it was an actor.
Oh my God, the one that was married
to the one.
Yeah,
Franklin.
Devon
Yes,
Franklin.
Franklin. So they were all on this panel, and questions was being asked by Sarah Jakes. And I remember the question was asked something to the point of, why does it seem like when, let's say, a wife asks her husband a question, or a woman is in a relationship with a guy, he don't seem to answer the question. And if I remember, that's paraphrasing, but Bishop's response was pretty much, you can't overwhelm him. So if you have a question that you are asking your man, for us, we got 21 questions in our head. That's what I said that. I was like, that sounds like 50 song. But anyway, so it came on my head. He was like, look, you ask your question because what's going to happen is he going to go to the barbershop or he going to go to his homeboys or someone that he trusts and he's going to go and he's going to think about this for about 2 or 3 days, he said. He going to get the answer. And now it's like, okay, I can come back and I can give you the answer to the question that you asked. He said what not to do is then before he can even get the answer, you ask him another question. Because then he got to go back for 2 or 3 days. And I was cracking up laughing.
You will never get your answer.
Yes. And so he was saying, don't overwhelm him. We sometimes as women can think, you know what I'm saying? But what I got from that too is not overwhelm, but the other piece of it is like when it comes to your question, don't get mad at the man in the moment because he can't rattle off responses the way that you want him to. He's not responding the way that you want him to. So then when he shut down, there you go again. I asked you a question. You say you want to focus on communication and you done shut down again because you're overwhelming him.
It's system.
Yes, his system is being overwhelmed. That's anxiety producing and everything. But when Bishop said that, 21 questions. So if you ain't remember nothing else I said, don't come at the man with no 21 questions.
That reminds me of something Bishop said a long time ago, too. He said, women talk in circles and men talk in straight lines. It's so true.
It is.
It is so
It
true.
definitely is.
It was funny because he used the example of him asking Lady Sarita what they were having for dinner.
I saw that, yeah.
And it was so hilarious, sitting there at church listening to this. He was like, she told me that she went to Big Bear, and when she got to Big Bear, she seen such and such. She was going down the aisle, and she saw this was on sale, and she picked this up, and then she went over there, and she saw that the chicken over here was more than the chicken over there. So he was like, woman, can you just say chicken? That's all I asked you for. It's what we were having for dinner. So it's so funny to think about that. And I have never read the book, but Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I've never read it, but it's just like that concept. We are from 2 different planets, although we are from the same maker. We are from the way that we think, our thought processes are different. And it was so funny because I used to think earlier on in my marriage, like, God, why would you make people like that? Why would you make him so different than me? Like, seriously.
Because if everything was the same, it'd be a boring world.
It would. Yeah. It would. It definitely would be.
But I would say this. I think it's very important that men get together and talk like that. And I think it's good that they have panel of men who can answer certain questions. Sometimes I think we have to dumb it down a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with TD Jakes and other individuals that do things of that nature. But sometimes men are looking at those guys like they're making them the standard. And they realize they can't live up to that. So it's hard to even get it out then. I think it needs to come grassroots. I think it starts in the local churches, the local communities, with the people that you may be comfortable with that look just like you, that have to get up at 9 and go to work and come back at 6, 7, whatever. And then it becomes familiar. Then you branch out. Now you get a good understanding. Because I think for a lot of men, when they see a panel of superstars up there, I mean, I understand they're giving an experience of what they got, but I don't think I can relate to all of that. It may be some things you hit, but some things,
like, you're not me.
Yeah.
You're not me. You don't live the everyday life I live.
And it's not their fault.
Right.
It's the fault of the man because he has put certain people on platforms. And what you could do is put yourself on that same platform. It's not about the money, the suits, and all that stuff. It's about the being. And we look past that because carnally, we see excellence. Carnally, we see holiness. Carnally, we see somebody that has a lot of followers. When that's not what you should be looking for. You should be looking for healing.
Healing.
Larisha?
Yeah. I've been pretty silent.
You have.
Right.
And I've literally been processing. I've been just processing.
Yeah.
I think there was a period in time before therapy where I saw silence as rejection. But you know what I mean? As you all have heard, in this moment, and pretty much what you was saying, Nikki, is what's going on with me? You know what I mean? Why am I perceiving, silence as rejection? And there's probably some work that I need to do, right, in that moment. But I'm just trying to like put all of it together. And I think you already hit the nail on the head by saying it's about education.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because we've been taught and groomed and instructed, you know what I'm saying? Or I should say men have been taught and groomed and instructed to suppress emotion, to um endure, silently, because that's what a man is. You know what I mean? And that's what a man does.
Mm-hmm.
He looks stronger, you know what I'm saying, if he's enduring in silence. But it really goes back to education.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying, as a whole. Y'all know I can't get away from the word.
Absolutely. Give it. Go for it.
So got 3 different things to say about this, but Jesus is our example of masculinity,
Mm-hmm.
our example of compassion,
Mm-hmm.
our example of leadership, our example of when even just using silence,
Mm-hmm.
right? You shared in one of our other sessions on where, the woman that was about to be stoned,
Mm-hmm.
he knelt down and in silence. The Bible didn't say he said anything.
Anything.
You know what I'm saying? But even in that moment, I don't know if he wrote something. We don't know. Oh, I'm gonna ask him. What,
Right.
you know
You
what I
just
mean?
know he was
said
just,
one day.
what
You know what I mean?
saying down there?
Yeah,
But
what was that?
but even in that moment, he used silence.
Mm-hmm.
But also we can look through all throughout the Bible, and we see that he was still able to be 100% God, but 100% human as well. So he felt, you know what I mean? The scriptures tell us that he was a man of many sorrows.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That he was also tempted, not to go down that road, but
Right. Yeah.
but in the
Mhm.
sense that he felt, you know what I'm saying, what a man feels. One of the shortest scriptures, you know what I
Jesus
mean?
wept.
Yeah.
Jesus wept.
In the word is Jesus wept.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You go back and you look at the backstory, John chapter 11, you'll see why he wept.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And why is that scripture, you know what I'm saying, in there? It's to show, you know what I mean, him being vulnerable, him being human, him
Having
being,
emotion.
you know what I mean? Exactly. Having that emotion. And so it's in the word,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I
Right.
mean? But that goes back to education.
Education. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Just one last thing, because I know with education, I was looking at that too, of teaching emotional languages or emotional language to change outcomes. We've been talking a lot about education, that education is needed. If you can wrap up, because we're at the end, what does that look like for a man to receive or to get education so that he can, I guess, heal and feel safe enough to end the silence?
Mm-hmm.
What would that look like?
It's a long process that we need to go all the way back to childbirth with and come forward for those individuals not born yet. Changing the status quo about what we've told young boys and young men in the past and letting them know that they can have emotional intelligence, they can have feelings, they do have a voice, and you talk from there. For those other individuals, what needs to happen wherever they are at, they need to have a counselor, a pastor, or somebody, even spouses, meet them where they're at, and then start to try to figure out, why are you here? And where do we need to get you to? And then work alongside that individual to get to where you need to be. Now, in the midst of that, yes, safety needs to be employed. But likewise, there has to be a certain level of respect for the individuals who are helping you, because the issue that you're going through may not be their fault. And so you can't hold them to that standard and say, well, I need this help, and then be trying to chop their head off when they're trying to help you, because now you're doing the exact same thing that somebody did to you. Another part of the education process is taking the time out to read, see what other people are saying. Don't just take one or two people's word for it. Read, take what you need and make those things that you need that's applicable to you, put them into your plan to get better, and then have benchmarks as you go along. It's not to try to say you're a failure. It's to say, okay, I know where I'm at now. I feel like I'm in a better place, but I still need to work on that. So it gives you a way to adjust yourself depending on what it is that you're going to. And then, as the Bible say, don't forsake the fellowship.
The assembling of yourself.
We need to assemble together as men sometimes, because we think we're the only ones that go through it. And it's a whole bunch of us out there going through the same thing. And when you find out that you're not by yourself, then you understand you don't have to heal by yourself. It can be done collectively.
All right. Thank you for that. Do you all have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, for me,
I
this
know.
is good.
Okay. Whew. All right. The silence of a man. Thank y'all so much for joining us here tonight at Talk Therapy Heal. For the men who are listening, it's time to speak. It's time to break the silence. It's time to get the healing that you need. And for the women who are listening, who are in relationships with these men or have sons, I implore you, create a safe space for them to feel safe, for them to feel vulnerable enough to break their silence. If you all are listening to us by way of YouTube or watching us on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and that notification bell. We want to hear from you all, so put your comments down in the comment sections. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you want us to talk about. If you are listening to us by way of podcast, don't forget to share it. Again, you too can also leave us comments. We thank you all so much for just taking the time to listen to what we had to say about the silence of a man. Have a good night, y'all. Bye.